Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about Kimetsu no Yaiba chapter 171. Great, here we are, man. All right, so this chapter we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff. I'm pretty excited to talk about it. One of the big things I want to just cover up or clear up. Not, it is kind of covering it up actually. Last time I was talking about the possibility that this guy had just laid traps of slash traps, but no, it's actually just he is totally using an overpowered sword. Oh, also, before I forget, this is the last video for today. So the videos will be coming back up tomorrow. I'll probably be doing that matching some other things tomorrow. Anyway, back to this. Yes, thanks for being here. Yeah, so that's actually pretty cool. It was just a little idea. I thought it would have been interesting, but thinking about it after I made the video, it's like, it doesn't really fit in with the kind of like stuff we've seen from the moon breathing style, so can't really say much about that. Anyway, let's talk about the chapter proper for this week. I think I got like maybe about 4 points that I want to cover, and then I got a point about cliffhangers that I really want to cover because I love talking about cliffhangers in Shonen Jump, and I would love to get your guys' opinion. But first, big thing, the biggest takeaway I got from the chapter is like, yo, Genya is going in there. He's taking the bite. And remember how last week we were talking about that ear? Man, mark my words. Okay, I'm going to put a bet. I'm feeling 80% confident. I'm betting that ear that got lopped off is going to come in handy at the last moment. I'm feeling it. I really feel it, man. Anyway, I think there's a lot of interesting little rhetoric going on in the chapter as well to kind of point that Genya might be the one that has the final hit here, and I'm very excited about that. But yeah, the end of the chapter is, I think, well, it's the one that impacted me the most. I'm really into the imagery. I'm really into seeing the consequences of this. I'm really hoping that it's not going to be a slow-paced chapter. I would love it if we have a fast-paced chapter the next week and we have a lot of material on it. I don't need to see the conclusion of the fight, but I do want to at least next week cover the effects that Genya goes through and then the battle progression. If we can cover those two things next week instead of just focusing on the battle by itself or just focusing on Genya and his struggle, it'll be great. It'll be a great time for me. Alright, so we talked about that. Him downing a blade. That's going to be interesting. Like I said, the things I'm looking forward to are the effects that's going to happen. Like, what's he going to feel? How strong is he going to get? I think this chapter has set up some pretty cool rhetoric that kind of can get you kind of hyped about the character. So with the note about rhetoric, let's step back through the chapter. Let's do it by sections. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. There's a lot of really interesting things going on here. Because we're going in order, let's start with the cliffhanger. So here's the image from last week, chapter 171. And I just want to... I want you guys to be honest with me, as you're watching this. And, I'm going to read out the image from last week. Like, this is the rock pillar saying it. Impossible. What did he do to us? Hit us with an attack at this range? What did he do? What? And I'm going to be fair here. This is super vague. But what does that... This is in the last page, actually. It's the second to last page. What does that dialogue tell you about that situation? When I read this, it made it seem like this slash was more or less an unquantifiable event. The rock pillar couldn't really understand what happened here. And so it gave the impression of this being a mystery. And I think that's the impression that the cliffhanger ultimately wanted. It wanted it to be like, oh man, this guy attacked them in a way that they can't fathom. And then they show off the sword. But then you come into this chapter, and this is about cliffhangers. You have the wind pillar specifically saying that the rock pillar altered the angle of the attack to save the wind pillar. And, well, that information, it doesn't disagree with that previous thing, because the previous thing, like I said, was really vague. But it does feel a little bit revisionist, just a tiny bit, because it's like the rock pillar was able to fathom something enough to be able to alter the blast, which is not the same impression that the cliffhanger gave for last week. So if you guys know me from the Shokugeki no Soma videos, you know how I feel about Shonen Jump's practice with cliffhangers. I don't like it at all. I understand what it's there to do, but I do think that was a little bit misleading. And manga does this a lot. Manga is super misleading. Like if you want to talk about misleading manga, you could look at Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail was super misleading. It's one of the big reasons people got really burned over Fairy Tails, because like Fairy Tail was really good at making you feel something and then like making you feel stupid for feeling something. At least for the people that got really invested. In this case, it's not a big deal, but it's worth noting. They kind of did a little bit of they played around with the vagueness of words, and then when they come into this chapter, they like point out like, okay, no, this guy was able to quantify some degree of the attack because he was able to block it to some degree. It's just an issue of like, to what degree now does he understand this? Anyway, that first section, along with the quick talk, is important just because, well, it's giving you a quick narration of the battle just to justify why these guys were still standing, more or less. Last week it just looked like the guy had done a very quick slash that was ultimately very shallow. And given how quickly things escalated from last week, he could have really the author could have been fine with just making a shallow cut instead of making it this. But whatever, not a big deal. It's just I like pointing this out because I think it's very rare that we get technical points that we can talk about to this degree. So that's something. Anyway, this first section confirms that, yeah, it's just the first upper rank moon is just a monster. He's swinging his sword so long, so fast. Wow. Anyway, the next part of the chapter, I think, might be my second favorite part of the chapter, along with Genya, or after Genya at the end of the chapter, because this was cool. It was cool to see the kids freaking out. It was cool to see where exactly the kids stood here. I love that they're saying that the 4 that are there are going to defeat him. Man, you know how I feel about the foreshadowing. I'm into that. I think that is cool. I love that kid believes in him, and I also think it's so good that they're prioritizing getting Giyu at. That sounds weird to say out loud, Giyu. Anyway, it's cool that they are prioritizing getting those 2 toward Muzan, because I think that's the best move here. You want to keep upper rank 1 busy so that the other people can get past him. I think that is a great move. And this is, I think, the first bit of rhetoric that kind of tells you, Genya is going to be important here. Genya is definitely going to be important. He's at least going to make some kind of wound on upper rank 1. I think that's reasonable at this point in time. The next portion is a combat portion, and unfortunately, I can't really talk too much about that. I mean, the art looks great, but the art in Kimetsu almost always looks great, so what's the point of talking about that? It's just a lot of fighting. There's a characterization being established for the wind pillar, where he's doubling down on the idea that, yeah, he's holding back the rock pillar. That's just consistent. It was established in the first section, and it's just going through, and then you have the mist pillar coming back into the fray and helping out. So that section, battling and furthering of a characterization, there's nothing there that I can really pluck out, and my eye's not trained enough to see like some kind of Kimetsu relevant detail, so unfortunately I got nothing else to say for that portion. And then after that, you go into the Genya monologue and the Genya remembrance of Tanjiro. So I like this rhetoric a lot. I like the rhetoric of the weakest person having the greatest potential. I love these kind of situations where weak people get to be powerful. Like, they don't need to be the guys that are amazing. They don't need to be the guys that are destroying planets. They don't need to be the guys that are doing incredible damage. I do absolutely love seeing weak but skilled characters, or weak but talented characters, or even like a weak character that makes a monumental difference in a battle. I think that is great use of weak characters. If you're going to have a weak character, it doesn't mean they have to be useless. So knowing that Tanjiro is on this rhetoric as well, that the weak have potential, it's like, yeah, alright, automatically, I love that. That's amazing. I'm into that. I'm into that rhetoric, because that's the kind of rhetoric that you need in Shonen Jump, or in Shonen in general. You need to make sure that you can get to a point where even your weak characters do something that you can say, well, that a reader can look back and say like, yeah, if that character wasn't around, what would have happened, right? I think this is one of the best things you can do for minor characters, because you don't want to end up in a Dragon Ball situation where the majority of the cast is irrelevant after a few power-ups from Goku and Vegeta, right? Anyway, the next part of this section is the justification for why the weak can be strong. And in this case, Tanjiro made a really good point here. That is how the enemy divides their attention. I think if you are going to have a situation where you're going to put a weaker character and you're going to build them up to be this pivotal person in a fight, I think it is important that you don't make it an ass pull. Like, you do try and justify how that works. So again, I think this is another great point for the author. Like, thank you. I think that's great. That's a great move from the author. So actually putting some logistics in there and saying like, hey, yeah, the enemy honestly isn't going to care about you. So you have the best shot there at actually getting a blow in. And at that point, you know, whether or not you get that blow in depends on like how smart you are, like when you choose to attack, how you choose to attack, what you choose to do. Hey, if he attacks when all of the other three pillars are there attacking, you know, that sounds like money. So I do like this. I do like that the flashback has a line with Tanjiro saying that there is a way to victory. And I do like that Genya is the one that's hearing this. Because I hear that and I'm just thinking, yeah, alright. This tells me you got the little boss boy believing in him. You got Tanjiro in the flashback giving him a push forward confidence. You have Genya resolving himself, getting ready to like overcome his own personal limits and pretty much play with the devil here. And then you have also the fact that there is an ear still in play. And we know that the concentration of these cells are going to make Genya stronger. So right now, I do think we are set up for a nice situation where Genya is going to be playing pretty close to the edge there. And then at that last moment when he needs that last little bit of power, that ear is going to come back into play. I think this is going to be fun. I am very into this. This is cool. I want to see where this goes. Genya's power set, we haven't seen this power set in Yaiba. In terms of who have some of the most impressive power sets, I don't really care too much for the Tanjiro crew, aside from their special senses. And I care about Zenitsu to some degree as well, because I like his power set a little bit. But the ones that I'm really curious about are like Nezuko, Tamayo, Yushiro, and Genya, because their power sets aren't limited by human limitations. Their power sets are influenced by demonic factors. So it's like, well, how far can you guys go? Because Tanjiro is going to break out stuff that's ultimately limited to just swordplay. But you guys can do weird stuff like light fires, or Yushiro's sending his eyes all over the place. Like, think about that. How many times have the demon characters been game changers? Nezuko was able to save a pillar because she had healing blood. Nezuko was able to screw with a bunch of other demons because her blood burns, right? She's made a lot of big differences. Yushiro is making a giant difference in this fight because his power is letting everyone stay in contact, or at least letting everyone share their vision. Because of him, everyone's making a map of this place, right? These characters, when it comes to the demon-friendly characters, they are the biggest game changers. And right now, Genya's on that, he's on that boundary, right? So he has every potential to be a game changer. So that's why I'm excited. Overall, those are my thoughts for the chapter. I don't really have much else to say. I really enjoyed this chapter more than I did the last one, I think. So yeah, let me know what you thought down below, and that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and this is the last video of the night. It is so late. I'm going to bed. Thanks for watching, and till next time, I hope you have a great day, and let me know, how's it going for you? Like, are you having a great time? Let me know what let me know what anime you're really excited for in the upcoming season. Let me know what's going on. Anyway, yes, I'm kind of tired. We're gonna call it there. Thanks for watching. Until next time, have a great day, and let me know if I missed anything, because I'm always looking for little details. Anyway, yes, see ya.